Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Bud Churchward, WB7FHC, and I'm sure glad you could join me. Recognize this? This is the Nexus DRX digital radio cross patch, and hopefully you recognize it because we've done a series of videos on exactly how to build this. It's a great kit, one that you can build yourself. But now that the Nexus is built, it's time to put an image on an SD card and get this running. Stick around. If you'd like your own Nexus DRX kit, go to WB7FHC.com to find all the details. If we're going to put an image on a card and get it in our Raspberry Pi, the first thing we're going to need is, of course, the SD card. Here's one that I recommend. It's a 32 gigabyte SD card, and the Extreme Plus is an extra bonus. For a couple dollars more, you'll get a card that allows you to write data a lot faster than on, say, some of the more generic cards. We have had a lot of success with 16 gigabyte SD cards, but because we've added more and more software to the suite of applications on the Nexus DRX project, we're finding that we recommend the 32 gigabyte card. As you can see here, it is quite small, but when you get it, it'll come with an adapter that allows you to insert the card in like this, and then you're more likely to find a slot on your computer that will take this larger insert. Once you have your card, run over to my website at www.wb7fhc.com and look in the Nexus DRX menu for the item that says Install Nexus Image. This will take you to Steve's webpage. I'll put a link to this in the description below. Here you will find all the instructions you need to put the image on your card. If you're a Linux challenged amateur radio operator like I am, you will really appreciate the clarity and the care that has gone into these instructions. Steve has done an excellent job, and he will make it something that you can follow successfully. However, if you're a seasoned Linux user, follow the damn instructions. You will not regret it. Your Nexus DRX will run the first time you launch it if you follow his instructions. The instructions themselves will include a link where you will be able to download this image. The file that you are downloading is very, very large, so expect it to take a significant amount of time. Don't worry about it. When it's complete, though, we'll be ready to move on. Now, depending on the computer that you're using, you might find that your machine wants to unzip this WinZip file once it's downloaded. That is not necessary. You don't need to unzip it, but if your computer does anyway, don't worry about it. You'll be able to look in your Downloads folder, find the original unzipped file, and that's the one we'll be using. Now you'll need an application to actually burn this image onto the SD card. Steve recommends one that will work in both Linux, Windows, and on Macintosh. It's called Balena Etcher. I've already got Balena Etcher installed on my Windows desktop computer. I can demonstrate it for you now. Balena Etcher is truly easy to use. I've installed the blank SD card in my computer and I've launched Balena Etcher. The first step is to select the image, and I have it right here. This is the file that I have downloaded. I've moved it to a new folder. We just select Open. Now we need to select the target. You want to look for your SD card. Here's mine. It's a 32 gigabyte SD card. I'll select it here, click Continue, and now all I have to do is click the button that says Flash. We'll give Balena Etcher a chance to unzip that file itself and get running. This is a process that will take some time. You can see here by the progress that we're making that it is somewhat slow. But I'll tell you, it is faster using the higher speed SD card that we have here. We'll just let this run. I'll do some video magic so that you don't have to wait for the entire time. But do know it will take a little bit of time. Once it's done flashing, you'll see that it's really not over. Now Bellina Etcher is going to go back through the entire image and make sure that every bit, every 1 and every 0 is correct. Once it's done validating, then we'll be able to move on. And there we have it. Our image has been flashed. Okay, I pulled the card out of the computer now. Let's get inside and take out the tiny one, and we'll put it in our Raspberry Pi. Right in here underneath in the slot. Push it in. Now I have some connections I'd like to make. The first one is this little dongle that is for my keyboard and my mouse. So that'll be in there. That's ready to go. I have an Ethernet connection here that I can hook up. I also have a connection here for the HDMI monitor. We'll put that in. And then I'll go ahead and hook up a couple radios. So there's my Yaesu. I'll put that in the right jack. And I'll put my Kenwood in the left jack. It'll be a few minutes before we actually get to running any of these radios. I've got a power cord ready to go, but we'll save that for a minute here. I need to get a monitor going over here. Now, as much as I'd like to do a screen capture and show you the initial setup of starting the Raspberry Pi with this image for the very first time, that's pretty much impossible to do because I don't have any software running yet that would allow me to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do this old school. I'll bring a camera out. We'll put it on the screen so that you can see how the Raspberry Pi comes up the very first time that we run it with this image that we've just created ourselves. Okay, let me walk you through what's going to happen here. I've added the power for the first time to this Raspberry Pi, and here we are looking at my dusty screen. It's starting to come to life. You're going to see that the image will come up first. It'll come on up, and you'll see things on the screen. And then it's going to shut itself down and do the whole thing all over again. So watch. Now the second time that it comes up, it will take a bunch of time. It's expanding files and filling out that 32 gigabyte disk. And after longer than you think it should take, it will finally come back up again, and you will see that the Raspberry Pi is up and running. Now, to be fair, I should let you know I edited out several seconds from that video there. I just want you to be sure that it is going to come up. You may think, oh, this is taking way longer than it should. Something's wrong, but it's not. It just needs time to do all the things it needs to do, and that's a one time only. After that, you're going to find your Raspberry Pi comes right up every time the first time. Now we've got a good image. I'm using VNC Viewer so that I can capture the Raspberry Pi's screen image from the screen on my desktop Windows computer. So this is exactly what it's going to look like on your screen when you launch it the first time, with the exception of this icon up here. This VNC icon will normally be white, but it's black, indicating that someone has remote control of this Raspberry Pi, and that person is, of course, me. Now, following Steve's instructions, that's important. First thing we're going to do is go in to Preferences and bring up Raspberry Pi configuration, and here we're going to be able to change the password on the Raspberry Pi. So just give me a second here and I will type in a new password. I'll say OK, and it tells me that I've changed it successfully. I'm also going to go in here and change the name change the host name. So I'm going to put in the call sign of my friend Ryan, who I am setting this up for. So that's K7RGK. Now say OK, and it's going to need to reboot itself, which we can still do here. Now I'd like to add Ryan's call sign to our desktop background, kind of make things look classy. I'm going to go into the Raspberry Pi menu again. We'll go into Preferences, and you'll find an item here that says Edit Desktop Background Text. This little window will pop up here shortly. There it is. And I'm going to put in Ryan's call sign, K7RGK. I'll leave this box checked. I'll just say OK. His call sign will appear, and for some reason the box reappears. That's okay. We'll just push cancel. What you're going to see next is the real beauty of Steve's work. Whenever you burn a new image, the first thing you're going to want to do is go out and check for any updates to the operating system and make sure that they are installed. Watch how easy he has made this for us. Again, we'll go back to the Raspberry Pi menu and look at this item here in ham radio. We'll come down here and you'll see where it says Nexus Updater. This is beautiful. First time we run it, don't be surprised that you're going to see a message that's going to tell you to launch it again. What's happened here is the updater just updated itself. That's okay. We'll close this window and run it one more time. Nexus Updater. When it comes up, we have a GUI interface with a list of all the amateur radio applications you think you might ever want to run on your Raspberry Pi. All we have to do is check boxes, click the OK button, and everything will be installed or updated according to our choices. The first thing I'm going to do, though, is the Raspberry Pi operating system itself. Now, I know I could check more than one box here, but whenever I do the operating system, I like to make it be the only thing I do. This is a task that can take some time, so we'll go ahead and start it, and then I'll stop the video, and we'll come back when it's finished. You'll need to make sure that you're connected to the Ethernet when you do this, and if you have choice, go with a wired connection. Wi-Fi will work, but it will take longer. And this can take an hour or more. So go get yourself a cup of coffee or tea, relax, come back. When it's done, you'll be able to restart the computer and we'll go to the next step. That wasn't so bad this time. The original image was pretty recent, so there wasn't too many updates that had to be dealt with. So we have a box here that says we're finished. We can just click close. And now let's take a look. One more time, we'll go into ham radio, Nexus Updater. Here we are again. And now let's go ahead and update and install some of the applications that I think Ryan would enjoy. So I know that he's going to want to do some packet radio stuff and FL and I think we'll start by checking Direwolf. It's already installed, so it's going to look for updates. These are programs that go along with FL I'll check all of those. We have HamLib. We have JS8 call. We'll save that for him to install later. I'm going to make sure that he has this Nexus backup restore utility. That's good. And make sure that the IP tables are all correct for the Nexus stuff. We've already updated the Nexus updater. It did it itself. I'm going to go ahead and check the utilities. Pat is a WinLink client that I think he might enjoy. And for now, I think that's good enough. I'll go ahead and click the OK button again. And all of those things that I have checked will now be updated or installed if necessary. So again, we just sit back and let the GUI do its work. Boy, isn't this better than typing all that apt-get this and apt-get that? Steve has made this so easy. Very good. And now we're finished. Now, sometimes when you do this updating, you'll see a message here that says it requires a reboot. I have found from experience that even though there are times when it's not telling me that I need to do a reboot, it's sometimes a good idea to do it anyway. I'm going to click close for now and point out that we have installed and quite a few ham radio apps now in our menu to choose from. We can start running these things, but most of them will require some sort of configuration. A few of them have GUIs that we can use that will help us do the configuration. Others you're going to need to look online and see how you actually configure them. So there it is. We've installed an image on our SD card. We've configured the Raspberry Pi with its own password. We've got everything up and running. We've got the software that we might want to use for amateur radio installed. This is a good place to stop here. I'll do a series of videos about individual apps, the ones that I enjoy, the ones that I use all the time with my Nexus DRX. Hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you'll be back for more. We'll see you soon. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share.